like the narcos. Got dope like Pablo. Cut dope like Pablo. Chop trees with the Draco. On the knock got Diego. Say hasta luego. We'll be in rapping key.
So this is part 2 to what if Deku was a vampire slash had a twin brother. Now I did a couple I already have a couple what ifs that I already did that include Deku having brothers. Like what if Deku was a Todoroki? Now I'm not gonna be canceling that series, but for the next couple of weeks or days, I'm going to try to catch up with all of my supernatural what ifs. The what ifs that include vampires, werewolves, and stuff like that. So yeah, stuff like that. So basically, after I get sequels to all of those done, then I'll focus on other what ifs. So yeah. And also, guys, I'm probably gonna be doing what ifs a little bit stressed out because I'm dealing with something, but I don't really have to talk about that right now. So basically, Deku. Now, basically, last time I left off, Deku and his twin brother. Now, for narrating purposes, before I get everything straight, for narrating purposes, Deku's twin brother. Because I'm pretty sure the only difference between Deku's twin brother is that he has black hair, and Deku has green hair and red eyes, and Deku's brother has black hair and red eyes. So basically, Deku's brother and Deku have different personality. Deku is still himself, but he's not a pushover. He looks up for himself and he fights anybody that tries to bully him, and he doesn't take lightly to any bullying. Like, he straight up goes berserker. But Deku's brother, on the other hand, doesn't care. He embraces his vampire side and basically drinks blood. Like human blood. Deku doesn't drink human blood, he drinks animal blood. Basically, Deku's brother is stronger than Deku because, well, he drinks human blood, and that makes him stronger. Basically, Deku, mainly refuses the thought of, drinking blood, and we'll figure out that later on. But for now, Deku basically, they go. Last time I left off, a group of vampire hunters hunted down. Now, no one hunted them down. Now, no one commented down below on part 2 like a month ago. I mean, part 1 like a month ago, about like should it be hunters or not, and no one commented. So I'm just gonna say it should be hunters. So it's gonna be hunters after them for some reason, and they're gonna be unknown to it. But in the future, by part 4 or 3, they're gonna figure out it. So basically, they go back to UA, trying to become heroes to get a little bit of popularity and stuff like that. Basically, they go back to UA the next day, keeping their cool and keeping, low profile getting there. Pretty much hitchhiking to building, jumping off it, and also sometimes, using some of their abilities to teleport, to transform into animals to get around the, city. Now, basically, they arrive at UA, and they walk into Class 1A. They walk into Class 1A. They walk into Class 1A and sit down. And basically, everybody's, talking about Deku and Izuku. Now, if you don't remember, when I say Izuku, I mean Deku's twin brother. So just remember that for narrating purposes if you get confused. So Izuku's going to be Deku's twin brother, and Deku's going to be Deku. So basically, Deku, everybody started talking, and basically Deku, Bakugo are, talking to each other. And basically, Izuku and Deku start talking to each other. And Bakugo steps in, pretty much saying, "What's up? So, I heard that you're supposed to be the new kids. Well, I'm better than you, just for you to know." And basically, Deku smirks at this and says, "Better than me? Boy, get out of my face." Because Deku does, stop it a second because he just, said boy, and technically he's right because Deku's technically years older than any of the kids any of the kids in this, whole entire thing. But Deku's still kind of like in his 20s. Yeah, Deku's pretty old. Like he's in his 100s at this point. Now, basically, Deku, doesn't really take age in perspective. And plus, Deku has a 16-year-old body or 19-year-old body, whatever it was. Yeah, Deku was turned when he was 19, but he just looks 16. And Deku's brother looked 16, but they were both turned when they were 19 and 18, so they were fully developed. And basically, Deku, uh, pretty much just smirking off and buzzing off Bakugo, ignoring him, and Bakugo gets angry. He says, "You're annoying me, little nerd," and pretty much Deku grabs him by the throat and says, "What are you talking about?" Again, and pretty much choking the life out of Bakugo. Bakugo tries to get Deku off of him by throwing an explosion, but nothing happens, and Deku's starting, taking the life out of Bakugo, and Bakugo's face turns purple. Eventually, Azawa walks into class. I mean, All Might walks into class, because Azawa was asleep, and basically, All Might walks into class and says, "Stop!" And pretty much Deku drops, Bakugo on the ground, and Bakugo coughs up some blood, or just coughs. And basically, Deku looks at, All Might, and All Might explains to the class they're doing combat training, and for Deku to come over here. Deku gets scolded by, you know, All Might and says to go get your hero costume. Deku goes into the locker room and basically gets changed into his hero costume, and Deku and Izuku's hero costumes are going to be kind of different. They're going to share the same designer, but they're going to be very different. Now, Deku's hero costume is more or less based off some fan art that I saw. Now, basically, this is going to be Deku's hero costume. Now, for the tactical part of this, Deku's hero costume is more or less made out of a fabric that is very, durable to shape-shifting, but also is made out of a fabric that's bulletproof, fireproof, and also is very resistant to any bruising or beating. So it's pretty hard to stretch, cut, and destroy. Now also Deku's cape can be used to shield himself from fire attacks, or to shield himself from vervain hits, or any type of wooden stake things. Because Deku can catch a wooden stake, but if he was ever stabbed by one, or if it was laced in vervain, Deku's cape can neutralize the effects of vervain by just pretty much putting his cape, or putting a part of his cape inside the wound where vervain was. Now, if you don't know what vervain was, if you don't know what vervain is, you do not watch Vampire Diaries. Basically, it's basically like the holy water to vampires in this universe, but holy water doesn't really work on vampires. So yeah, in this universe, but basically Deku, um, basically Deku's hero costume is pretty focused on aesthetic, and it looks awesome. Everybody says Deku's hero costume looks really cool, and Deku did get some inspiration from Dracula as well, for the collar and the cape and all that other stuff. Now basically Deku having like a green big red D, a letter D on his inside of his jacket and the back of his jacket. I mean the back of his cape, and basically there for people think it's there for Dracula, but it's there for Deku. But basically Deku and Izuku get out there, and Izuku's hero costume's kind of different. It's pretty drastically different. Now Izuku's hero costume is pretty different. Now, Izuku's hero costume is going to be something like this. Something exactly like this. Basically, it still has, basically his hero costume is exactly the same as the Shredder hero costume from this specific, comic book line. Now, I don't remember the name, but basically his suit looks like this. Now, the boot area is basically just, Shredder's, iconic, shoulder padded underleggings. Let me just show you. Basically, this is how the boots look. Now, he does not have the mask. He just has the red scarf, the bladed shoulder pads, arm guards, boots, and the red belt sash here, and the bandages on his arm, and the black gloves with his gloves not the fingers of his gloves not cut out. They're just intact gloves, and that is basically his hero costume. Looks exactly like this, but without the helmet and mask, just his face with the black hair. Now, if you don't know what what a Zuku looks like, just go in the beginning of the video. I described him pretty well. Basically, he just looks like Deku, both black hair and red eyes. And Deku has red eyes but green hair. So basically, Deku and Izuku walk out there, and pretty much everybody says that their superhero costumes are pretty cool. Now, basically, all of them get ready, and Deku was teamed up with his brother this time, and Ochaku was teamed up with, let's say, Deku. Now, Mineta is, I'm pretty sure I said Mineta is expelled, so Deku's brother takes Mineta's place. Now, basically, wherever the team Mineta was on, Ochaku takes his place. So, yeah. So, basically, on that whole entire thing, on Ochaku's team, they actually win, but yeah. So, basically, Deku and Izuku go up against Bakugo and Ida. They get ready, and Deku tells Izuku to pretty much, and Izuku stops Deku right there and says, I'm not going to listen to your orders, and pretty much sprints off, leaving Deku behind. Deku gets angry at this, but just flies up through the ceiling, or more or less jumps up through the ceiling, and jumping, left and right, running around the hallways, eventually running into Bakugo. Bakugo gets angry and conjures up a bunch of explosions. Basically, Deku and Bakugo get in fighting positions, and Deku gets ready to fight. Bakugo throws a huge explosion towards Deku, pretty much doing his gauntlet move off the bat. Deku dodges it, but gets burned a little bit. Deku gets back up and uses his, his superhuman, speed, or vampire speed, running on the ceilings, running on top of the ceiling, and running around the whole entire hallway and the, walls, jumping away and around Bakugo's explosions. Deku gets an upper hand, grabs Bakugo by the head, and throws him through a wall, throwing him through about 2 walls. Bakugo gets back up and uses a gauntlet attacking Deku's face right about when Deku's about to claw his eyes out, and pretty much Deku gets blasted up through the ceiling into the other room. Bakugo uses his explosion power, or his explosion quirk, to boost himself through the hole Deku made when he got, blown up. And is getting back up. Deku's getting back up and basically sees, Bakugo about to throw the biggest explosion he's ever thrown in his whole entire life. But Deku gets the upper hand and gets out the way as, in the last second, pretty much leaving Bakugo like a duck in the water, or like pretty much a sitting duck, because Bakugo is in a standstill because he was in that that position he does when he's in the air when he throws the explosion. So basically, Deku, using his spam speed, sees him in slow motion and pretty much runs over there, grabbing Bakugo by the throat, throwing him through about 2 ceilings, knocking him out cold. Deku runs up the stairs, getting to Ida, and Ida's going toe-to-toe with, pretty much Izuku. Izuku starts shooting, pretty much blast of what's it called? Vampire strength, because he's throwing rocks or pieces of concrete from the pillars at Ida, hitting Ida in the knees, the arms, and the shins, just completely demolishing bone tissue and pretty much skin. Pretty much Deku says stop to Zuku, and Zuku stops, and since Deku, since Ida, is out, Deku runs over to the bomb, grabs it, and pretty much they win. Hero team wins, villain team loses. Now, after that whole entire situation, Deku pretty much walks off, and everybody, crowns Deku and Izuku. Now, Deku and Izuku do get scolded because they went a little bit brutal, but yet again, they were raised in the 15th century, so they're pretty, brutal in a way. Now, basically, Deku and Bakugo, yeah, they pretty much are men, but Bakugo, still hates Deku and pretty much doesn't talk to him. Now, Bakugo does have 2 broken arms. Basically, his forearm is shattered on his left arm, and his shoulder is completely demolished. And also, his fingers and his left arm are cracked. So, yeah. So, basically, a recovery girl was able to fix Bakugo pretty fast. Now, basically, Bakugo did have to put a shoulder cast on, for the past couple, like about a week. And basically, Deku, pretty much, Deku and Izuku walk back to their mansion. They get to their mansion, and pretty much Izuku and Deku walk in, pretty much coming into one of the entrances in the mansion, and going, upstairs, then passing by the other upstairs, and then going to the fourth floor, and getting to one of their living rooms. Now, if you didn't see part one, near the end of part one, basically they have a huge family, heritage of money that they got over the years with them living for years and years and years. Basically, they have a huge deposit of money because they've been building up money for years and hundreds of years. They've been building enough money. Basically, they're quadrupling it. They're billionaires. So basically, they have racks of cash just build it up. They literally have a whole entire room just stuffed with cash, gold bricks, and coins. Just straight up, just a whole entire room. Now, basically, they literally have a what you call it? They literally have a whole entire a whole entire pool, like an empty pool in one of their rooms that's just filled up with cash that they literally dive into, like pretty much the duck. Basically, they start talking, and pretty much before they go to sleep, they hear a noise or glass shatter at the first floor. They go down, and they see that it's bloody footprints on the ground, or more or less bloody paw prints on the ground of the house. They're looking around and they hear a howl. They pretty much run out the house and they see a giant wolf in the front yard walking away. Pretty much they're confused, and pretty much they follow the wolf, and they see the wolf looks at them and runs towards them. They start running away, but they find out the wolf is running as fast as them. They're confused, and Zuku puts the two together and says, "It's a werewolf," and pretty much, screams, and pretty much they start running and running and running. They lose it, and they get back to their house. They shut everything down, pretty much locking all the doors and everything. And pretty much, Zuku and, Deku saying that, "Where's the big deal with werewolves?" And pretty much Zuku says, "I never taught you this. I never taught you this, little brother. But werewolves can kill vampires with one bite. Well, one bite in the arm or the leg, but in the chest or the neck, it's unfazable." Now, basically, Deku says, "So, you're telling me that werewolves are real, and they're the one thing that can instantly kill a vampire, other than, a wooden stake, vervain, or maybe even the sunlight without our daylight rings. So you're saying that you kept this from me?" And pretty much Izuku says, "Don't be mad, brother. It's okay. We locked everything, and all we gotta do is be safe for the couple of days until we find out who's the werewolf in Japan. Everything will be good." Pretty much Deku says, "A werewolf. You're wondering if we can find one person out of a haystack, out of the whole entire citizens and people in Japan. We have to pick out one that looks like a werewolf. First of all, werewolves are normal people. They're not like wolf creature or wolf humanoid quirk people like certain wolf heroes or Mirako, the bunny hero." Basically, Izuku says whatever, and pretty much, goes to his room, and Deku goes to his room. Before Deku goes to his room, he pretty much goes on his phone looking up some stuff until he hears another glass shatter. Deku runs out of his room, or runs out of the living room, running upstairs and seeing that the top floor is completely demolished, and Deku walks into the room, pretty much getting hit with a nasty spear to the chest, doused in vervain. Deku getting pinned to the ground, or pinned to the wall, pretty much being, coughing up blood, looking around, seeing that it's a pretty much an old man with a white beard and a black suit with pretty much bottles of vervain on him, and he's doused in vervain. He also has wooden stakes pretty much, plastered all around his jacket, and he also has guns with metal bullets in them. Pretty much Deku looks at him and pretty much starts to try to try to break the spear that's doused in vervain in him, but he's too weak to do it. Pretty much Deku looks at, the man, and the man takes out a dagger doused in vervain and about to, gut or more or less decapitate Deku. But Deku's brother Izuku walks into the room, running on top of the man, and pretty much getting burned because the man's covered in vervain. The man grabs Izuku and throws him out the window, making him fall on top of a gate in their, residence, getting impaled. Deku's about to get stabbed at this point, but at the last second, what should I call it? The police show up because Azuku's brother did call the police as he was, impaled onto the, pretty much, what was it? What did it call it? The fence. The police showed up and the hospital showed up and pretty much they're about to, they helped Azuku off of the gate and pretty much trying to tend to his wounds, but he says that he has a quirk that makes him heal fast and he's gonna be fine. They say okay, and pretty much they walk up there, seeing that their brother or the stomach or their brother his stomach is impaled by the staff or the spear. They get the spear out of the wall with Deku out of Deku, and pretty much Deku says it's okay, just rip it out, and they rip it out, and Deku starts healing, pretty much yelling in pain. Now, basically, the police say that it's going to be 4 police officers around your residence for the next 5 months. Now, if you wanted them longer to be here, we can always just, more or less, we gonna have to, pay us a little bit of money. Now, basically, Deku says, whatever, 5 months will be good. And Izuku says, yeah, 5 months will be good. Now, basically, Deku and pretty much Deku and Izuku are in their room, or in their, thinking room, like their room where they do all the bills and everything. Pretty much, he says, what are we gonna do? Vampire hunters are after us, and we haven't even done anything wrong, Deku says. Izuku pretty much keeps quiet, and Deku says, you know something, don't you? And Izuku says, no, I don't. And pretty much they start talking to each other, and eventually they come to a conclusion that they just think on it, and pretty much Deku and Izuku go to sleep that night, and I'm gonna leave it off here, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like, subscribe. Sorry guys. I hope you guys enjoy the video. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. Bye. Deuces and